Red acknowledges and pays the respects to the past, present and future traditional custodians and elders of this nation and the continuation of cultural, spiritual and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. We further acknowledge the land on which Red work of the Turrbal and Yagara peoples. The struggle you have overcome might be a struggle a queen is currently sinking in. We all have a story and we all need to share that story. Welcome to Empowered. Here you will be surrounded by a community of queens who have conquered their own. I'm very, very blessed that I have a village of people in my corner who lead with love, share their success tips, and this platform are these stories. If you had the cure to cancer, you would share it. And your story is someone's cure. Your story will help save a soul, and this world needs a shitload more of that. The intention for these poddies is to host guests with topics and tricks shared to help the listener to help them live a life full of love, happiness and success. Be surrounded by queens who have walked your path and resonate with their stories. What do you know now that has helped your journey, and what would your younger self love to have in their toolbox? Welcome to Empowered. Today's queen is the one and only Tajsha Van Den Bergh. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, it's amazing.
I love it. Welcome. It's just a chin wag, and I mentioned yesterday because you're petrified. Let's just get that out there for all the listeners and watchers. She is petrified. So it is currently 10:36 on a Friday. No judging, but we are having a little splash of wine for the Dutch courage nerves. But I rang you this morning as well, and you were like, "Nah, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm gonna cancel it." Here she is, all glammed up, looking amazing. You always do. Even when you're doing housework, I'm sure you wear this in Campiel.
It's all I've got.
One outfit. It might be expensive, but it's all I've got.
It's white.
You're true. But yeah, you were petrified. So we are having a Don't Judge Me little splash this morning. And with thanks to beautiful Brad, our CEO here at Red, he was our butler this morning. How
and
nice.
He had clothes on.
Oh. I told you this is my kind of potty. Grew up in Hervey Bay. You grew up in Shayla Park. Haven't we come far, doll? No, you can't take the bogan out of us, can you? This might be the editor's worst nightmare, this podcast, but it's around half an hour.
Likely.
It's about around half an hour so that you can watch or listen on your way in or out of work. And as per my introduction, I just want to share stories that help people and help them overcome whatever shitstorm they're going through. I was reflecting back on our first time meeting, and as I met you as a customer of Red, and I onboarded you as a customer, like the whole Chief of Happiness, welcome on board. I had the cupcakes and
that was delicious, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I feel like you were sitting on the other side of the room going, what is this woman? Like, what is going on here? It was a bit crazy, but it was really
loved you.
Oh,
I thought you were fun. And even Micah was like, yes.
Yeah, that's
she's
so
for
good.
me.
Oh, I love that. You guys are my kind of people, which is cool. You're like polished bogans, you know?
I love
bogans who got a bit of money about them. No, but the thing I love about you and Joel and Micah, hi Micah, no brownies today please Micah. That's a story, isn't it? We'll save that for another day.
Potty number 2.
Oh, my goodness. Brownies are not allowed in the podcast room, by the way.
That's fair.
If you want to know what that means, you can certainly inbox me, but it's not for public knowledge. Oh, yeah, so you're my kind of people because you're just so down to earth. And the fact that we get to do business together and do podcasts together and you bring your kid over on a Sunday afternoon because you're in Chermside, like I love that.
And share my deepest, darkest stories with you, like in the first 24 hours of meeting you.
That's what I was going to segue into. Like, I met you. I'm sure I remember your face going like, what on Christ on a bike, what is she? What is this happening in my office? And then I got a call from you the next day and you used a guise of, can you come and show my people what you do at Red, the Chief of Happiness, the culture stuff. And I went, of course, Del. Popped out the next week. That was such bullshit. That was not about what it was about.
That
you
actually
just went,
was. I was
it?
just like a little bit of a crumbling inside kind of human being at that point.
Well, so I don't even think we talked about the business.
And you were like, I'm sensing a vibe here. And it's not a good one.
No, and it's weird because in my introduction, and I'm sure I've told you about that, late in life diagnosis of ADHD, but one of the benefits is this strange pick up on energy shift. Even this morning I texted you because I just felt like you needed a little bit of love and you're like, How did you know that I had a shit house morning? It's just one of those weird things. But you called me in under the guise of, can you come help my business? Sure, Dale, pop out. And you just went, and just told me all these things. And I don't think I've ever thanked you enough for that. That is a major compliment that you felt safe enough to share everything with me. And I don't know if I've helped, but I hope I have by just sharing, you know, that safe space of letting it all out.
Yeah, well, you definitely make people feel like that. You know, you allow people to open up.
But so do you. And I don't think you realise your power yet. I think you're moving into that space of understanding it.
It's a slow and steady thing.
But you also, as a disclaimer, said to me, I've never met anybody like you before, and I swear you were speaking at my pace, so it's like turbo. I've never met anybody like you before. Like, you don't understand. Like, I'm a hard-ass girl, and like nobody connects with me, and I'm not into that mushy hippie shit, and I don't tell people I love them, and and I was like, okay, all right, let's unpack this, Queen. What's going on for you, doll? And I think we spent like 2 hours there. Thanks, Red. Sorry, I was out of the office for so long. And we got really deep, we got really raw, and you shared some amazing things with me. And I don't know if you've got enough Dutch courage to share today, or just courage in general, because it does take courage to share our stories. But what I want to say to you is how proud I am of you and your journey. Even since meeting you in that office that day, you've totally, like, you blossomed. You look...
I've emerged.
You have, but you've done a lot of work to get here.
I have spent a lot of money and done a lot of work.
But it is a journey. Like, everybody's journey is different. And this morning when you're having your meltdown, you're like, I can't believe, like, this shouldn't be this hard with whatever. We won't go into it, but...
But I also saw it as an opportunity as well to kind of... You're right. When you're feeling emotional and you're in that space, you kind of feel like...
You just got to let it out.
Actually, this is probably the perfect time to do it.
And you said, I rang Joel and said, did you talk to Emma? He said, no. I just picked up on that vibe, even though we were, you know, on the other side.
We're meant to be together.
So meant to be together. We like expensive shit. We like fashion. We like Botox. We like wine. It's, you know, friendship made in heaven. But, you know, I think that safe space to just be raw and real, it's really rare. And again, looping back to the whole empowered intention is I want this because a lot of people just don't have this space, right? And growing up, did you have a good support system or did you have bully women in your life?
No, not at all. Okay. Like I don't remember a lot about my childhood. Not really. It was quite...
Blocked it out?
No.
That's another session.
No, it wasn't like that at all. It was just I had a very busy family and there was only 3 kids in the house, but we, you know, halfway through primary school decided to upheave and move to Noosa, and it was just like lots going on, and we had businesses and things like that. So no, nothing like overly traumatic in my life that would have sort of brought me into the now. I think probably it has a little bit more to do with the fact that, you know, 3 years ago separated from my then husband, and then, you know, all those balls start to sort of come up in the air, and then, you know, other things happen where you find yourself not being able to prioritise what needs to be dealt with first.
Prioritise you.
Well, yes.
Do you think that that's been the case? Like you've put you and your happiness aside and not looked deep in?
Yeah, that's definitely been a struggle, particularly when you've got children and you do leave a relationship and then you're trying to sort of manage the kids through that
putting
phase.
Them first, yeah, because that's hard. Like managing and unpacking divorce and moving into a different home. Like
and I really didn't know what to do. It was a really foreign environment for me to be in, and I felt that I couldn't really. I had to put up this facade that, you know, I've got 3 kids, I need to get up in the morning, I need to get them to school. And I had always done it on my own because I never had that support from my partner because he worked away. So in fairness, that was sort of our lifestyle. But I didn't have a lot of time to think or a lot of time for myself. Yeah, sure, those moments were opened up to me occasionally, but really for the most I had 3 kids at home that were...
They needed you.
Yeah, basically.
So I met you post-divorce or
going through separate. Yeah, it's kind of still going.
Okay, we'll never not be going from what you told me this morning, but anyway. and I wish that I was there to support you through that crappy time, and I vouch to you that
I think you kind of have.
Really?
Well, because I think the way that I traversed through that stage of my life was as a result of all of those things happening at once.
True.
So not one thing kind of took over the other. Okay, sometimes they were bigger and more prominent, but it was those little things, and my reaction to those were because of where I was at that stage of my life. Like I probably was slightly, just a little bit irrational.
We all can be sometimes.
And I took everything to heart. I really wear my heart on my sleeve, and I really felt that I was being hard done by, you know what I mean? But that's because I was in a very, very low point in my life. And
you weren't just dealing with one thing, like you were dealing with a lot.
I had so much going on, you know, which is sort of why I'm here.
Yeah.
During that whole period of going through a bit of a bitter separation and trying to, you know, build myself up into a new relationship that I'd started, my current partner and I had a stillborn at 23 weeks, and that was kind of the peak of it all. You know, there was so much going on, and that was just the straw that broke the camel's back, really.
And did you break? Tell me about the break.
The break.
Because every time I speak to you about it, I'm the one tearing up and you're the one just being so stoic. And I don't know if that's your...
I've done a lot of crying. There's been a lot of upset. And my instant sort of reaction to the whole thing was to just get on with it, because I had to.
As in not sit in that space and
As in
mourn
not
and
sit
grieve?
in that space. I didn't know what that meant.
At that time?
At that time.
Do you know what that means now?
I do know what that
Good.
means, through the help of lots of people, which we'll get into a little bit later. But it was definitely a journey, you know, and it was a journey that was really difficult for me to navigate initially, because I was that stoic person that was like, I don't need help. I don't need to outsource medical intervention to sort of help me through this phase.
I'll just get on with it like I have done.
I'm just going to get on with it, because...
Never meditated, never
journaled, never anything, never really spoken outwardly about my feelings, not at a deep level. Like I'd have a rant for sure, but certainly not, you know, go delve deep into that space. So...
It was kind of thrust upon you to have to do that then, right?
It was, and I just felt like there was so much going on that I never really got a chance to really sort of heal that trauma, because that was such a deep thing to go through. And, of course, my solution was to Band-Aid by falling pregnant nearly instantly.
Hi, Ziggy. We love you.
And Ziggy's nearly 1 now.
He's gorgeous.
So, again, possibly another opportunity for me to distract myself from what had really happened. And, yes, it was very traumatic, and it was a very, very difficult time in my life. And there was some negligence, if you like, that came into it. But what I have found out is the deeper you dive into that space, the less validated it feels, because they truly do make you feel like I took it further. Like I took the whole experience further with lots of different bodies.
Was that your coping?
No, that was me going, this is unacceptable.
It is.
I do not want this to happen to another human being.
Do you think you could share the intricacies?
Look, I'll go into it at a very...
The reason I say that is we mentioned it this morning, and I said, look, you can get I know the complete story.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. And I think, oh, Jesus Christ, I hope nobody else has to deal with this. But imagine if there is one person out there who just leverages your courage to go, okay, I'm not mad. I do need to do something about this, and this is not right. And I love that it's actually a plight for others. Like, hopefully you get compensated or something in some way, shape or form as apologies, or I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, unfortunately it's all been put to bed now, mainly because in Queensland in particular we're not heavily protected from a protection perspective as far as pursuing it. But a lot of it came down to the fact that I was in a very, very, in a very difficult position, and in which I'd had this baby in a situation where nobody really knew what was happening. And unfortunately, and obviously won't name specifically where I was or anything, or hospitals or anything like that, but where I birthed Aria was in a place where they just weren't in a position to help me in a way that they should have, and they should have known better. It was in a very normal, prominent sort of hospital.
Because you told me that they treated you like a pleb. Like they
actually did treat me like a pleb.
They treated you like...
Well, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know how far along I was. All I knew that there was something wrong, and I was losing an excessive amount of blood, and they needed to deal with that. But I was kind of shoved in a room, and it's a private hospital with a public emergency. And they kind of shoved me in a room and told me to just you just got to
breathe
deal
through it.
And they kind of still didn't know what they were dealing with. And to me, and I've done lots of research into this space, is that the first thing you would do would be scan the woman, right?
So do you want to give that little piece
well, so
there?
They loaded me up with lots and lots of drugs to try and, reduce the amount of pain that I was in. I was literally climbing the walls and I was bleeding, and they were like, "Oh, here, go and sort yourself out in the bathroom." And they'd make me walk down this long corridor, and with 6 million other people in this emergency, just completely degrading. And unfortunately,
and Joel wasn't allowed in, was he?
He wasn't allowed. Yeah, so unfortunately, it was COVID. It was Easter long weekend as well. So into the bargain, there was public holidays either side of this weekend. There was nobody around, so they were very short-staffed.
And you thought you were around 8 weeks or so, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, very early on.
Yeah. And unfortunately for me, it led into this pain that I actually couldn't control. And when they actually told me that I needed to calm down many times.
They did not.
We've given you enough pain medication that they could sort of issue to a football team, I think was their words to me. I literally proceeded to birth Aria on my own in a bed in a dark room. Like, they had the lights out. They were trying to get me to be quiet ultimately because I was hysterical. And Joel wasn't there. No one was there. I was in a dark room. And then all of a sudden I just started screaming for help because obviously I was also high as a kite, so not even in a space where I could make any sort of rational or normal decision. And all I could say was, put her back, put her back, put her back. And, of course, that wasn't possible. And I think everyone panicked. So in fairness to them, everyone went into a state of what the hell just happened, wrapped her up, put her in my arms, and that was the end. But for me, your instincts, everything kicks in. Doesn't matter how much you've got on board.
Absolutely.
You're like,
straight
hang
away.
on a second, this is not right. All they could think of was getting me out of there and transferring me to a hospital where I could be looked after properly once they knew what they were dealing with. But the events that led up to that and how I ended up laying there with this tiny, tiny little baby, and 23 weeks, it's a fully formed.
Of course.
You've got everything. And look, 24 weeks, you've almost got a viable baby there, potentially with huge defects, potentially with a really tough life ahead. However, it's not unheard of that a 23-weeker can survive. But unfortunately, there was no intervention, nothing, not a second of intervention.
Really?
So she was breathing.
Yeah.
But obviously it didn't last very long. And upon having all of the tests done after she'd gone, she was breathing for up to 2 hours, apparently. Like that could be a few minutes up to 2 hours. But when you've been told that,
You cling on to that, don't you?
you cling on to the fact that there was 2 hours between when I birthed her to
They could have done something.
they could have done something like oxygen for a start would have been probably the easiest.
We ain't
one.
no doctors, but hello.
Yeah. Or certainly some sort of intervention. But they wrapped her up and said, there's nothing we can do. And the doctor who was on that night, she literally disappeared. She was nowhere to be seen. I was hysterical. I couldn't stop crying, obviously.
Naturally.
I was just hysterical. I didn't know what was going on. Obviously, at that point, they let Joel in because, hello.
Did he know? When did he know?
Oh, they handed me a phone and said, ring him.
You are kidding.
Yeah, not. We're
How
gonna go
heartless.
yeah, we're not going to go and find him outside because he's literally sitting at the door, like peering through a window on the outside, stressing
a
out.
loyal, loving sweetheart. We love you so much, Joel.
So, yeah, it was just the whole experience was so traumatic, but what was probably most traumatic was actually having to go through that process afterwards in reprimanding people or trying to get to the bottom of it. I was that adamant to bring them down that I turned up to this hospital. I arranged a meeting with the CEO of the hospital.
Go Queen.
And I sat down and he basically pushed a box of tissues across the table, like this table, across to me because I couldn't get a word out because we're talking like weeks after this had happened.
I wish I was there with you.
And he basically, I said, it's really, like, the way he explained it to me was that they'd all of the staff that night had also gone through this.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, and that, that they were being counselled.
Hello, what about me?
And I could not, for the life of me, find a psychologist, a counsellor, any human being to
help
support
you.
me through that time.
But yet here are the staff. Yeah, okay.
Here are the staff really struggling and the doctors experiencing, episodes or however he put it. And for me, it was that just made me angry.
Of course it did.
Because I was like, how dare you this has got nothing to do.
Correct.
You guys deal with people and bloody corpses every day.
Exactly.
Like, please don't undermine what's happened here because it's unacceptable. Like, unacceptable.
They're
the way
almost
I was
telling you
treated, it was unacceptable.
Your trauma doesn't count.
Pretty much. And to cut a long story short, once I'd actually pursued it in a way that I thought that I would be able to, and for me it wasn't certainly about money.
No.
I walked out of that hospital after having Aria with a piece of paper saying I could claim child payments, the whatever it is, the maternity.
The government, yeah.
And I was like,
wow, thanks for that.
No, I'm good, thanks. You can keep your envelope type of thing. And it was hard. It was super hard because then I had to go home within 24 hours of this all happening and get back into mum life.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I chose not to share with the kids because for me they were far too young to share that kind of information with. I think my eldest at the time was 9.
It's hard to process, and they've just gone through a key, move
they've
with mum and dad.
Yeah, and that was that was hard, and we were sort of coming out the other end of that.
How do you explain that to 9-year-olds though? 9 and younger.
Yeah, and younger. And to me, I just didn't think it was necessary under the circumstances.
But it probably also meant that you'd have to unpack it again yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was just for me. I just go now. It's just one. It was a really, really bad moment in my life that and it's not something like a divorce. You'll eventually move past it. whatever the thing is that you're going through in your life, you'll eventually move through it. Child loss, you can't move past that.
Never.
It's not something that you can ever really move on from. You just learn to live with it.
But she'll always be there, and April the 1st will always be her special day.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's okay for you to you don't have to get over it. You don't have to grieve or mourn in a certain period of time.
And I don't think it's sort of like a lifelong grieving process, I think, because you've missed out on lots and lots of things. But I hated that it was dismissed. It was just
That's horrendous. That's so cold.
Unfortunately, this is just what's happened.
You stub your toe, that's unfortunate. Losing a baby.
Yeah, and in Queensland, basically they say that if they can't measure loss for me, because I'm going in there to say that, I've experienced a loss, so that's my loss. It's not my loss, it was her loss. So I'm not the person that was harmed, it was her.
Oh, my goodness.
And
there's two of you.
For me, I wanted a lesson, not certainly no money.
And that's it
was going to cost you lots of money to be able to pursue it.
Them.
And I think the initial quote was like $20,000 or $30,000 just to send the paperwork away to have it. They'd send it to another state to have it reviewed into negligence, basically, to see what the negligence was. All my medical documents that came through from the hospital were all done subsequently because they had a small amount of lines on the page that were done on the night, but then because of the whole kerfuffle and the whole event, nothing else was put in there. So they've gone back after the fact when they've been requested by a solicitor to have it sent through, and they've fumbled their way through, and it was all lies. There was that many different stories, down to she was given oxygen for 30 minutes on my Medicare, so that shows up on I can still log into my MyGov account, and it says there that oxygen was provided.
Was she in your arms the whole time?
The whole time. She never left They got me out of there so quickly. There was no time for intervention whatsoever. They couldn't have, and they put her in my arms for that I had to sit in an ambulance for 45 minutes or longer to get to the other hospital with her in my arms, getting colder by the second. And it was just the most traumatic experience.
What were you doing?
Just laying there. And because I was high as a kite, and, I've got this, 50-year-old man sitting next to me saying, this is terrible, how shocking. And all the while she's possibly breathing in my arms and I can't do a bloody thing about it.
Did you skin to skin with her?
I can't even remember, to be honest. I did in the hospital. I ended up spending a significant amount of time with her afterwards, but I didn't know what was long enough, how can you sit there for that? And she was cold, there was no life left, and because she was so young as well, she deteriorated really quickly. Whereas you have a little bit more time when you've got someone that's got lots of
And how was the next hospital with you?
They were amazing because they deal with this every day in and day out. This was a normal thing for them. They had the proper suite to deal with with this environment, and that was fine. But it was like this time that is irreversible, and it's been a long, long road of me having to go and find lots and lots of different people to help me and support me through that, because I knew I couldn't do it myself. I was sinking quick. Anyway, I found a coach, which you also know of, and I'm still with her now. We haven't spoken this year, but we have been for a good couple of years now. I've been to psychologists, I've been to naturopaths, I've been to chiropractors to try and reset my nervous system. I've done that whole shebang. However, I found myself having to drive all over Brisbane, all over the Sunshine Coast, trying to find people to help me through this. But when that happens, you have to retell your story
every time,
every single time, so that they can fully appreciate what your body needs to move forward. And I thought,
that in itself
surely there's something out there in this world that can be created and born from really bad experiences and, you know, shocking trauma. That, and it doesn't even need to be that, you know, it could be anyone. It could be
you
that
dealing
mama,
with your divorce.
It could be that mama that needs to enter back into the workforce,
Yep.
but she's struggling with the guilt of leaving the kids at kindy. Or it could be, you know, it could be honestly anything that serves you in a better place, that empowers you to be a better person.
You just gave me goosebumps. Like, that's not the Tajsha I met. That verbatim, that script there, and that's not, you said to me, should I like write all this down, because I know what you're leaning into and the amazing, amazing thing that has come from a horrendous time in your life. And I'm going to be here with you every step of the way, and I'm so excited. But that's not the Tajsha who I met, who was strong enough to speak like that and to go through. Like, I would never wish the last 2-3 years on anyone, let alone you, because I adore you. But this is exactly what we're talking about. Your story is going to save a soul, and I know there's someone crying, listening, or watching this right now. But they're going to follow in your footsteps. You are paving the way for others, and instead of you know, you've been so selfless through the entire ordeal, ordeals, plural, that instead of you just going, oh, well, that's what it was, and sorry, beep that out, moving on, you've gone, well, I want to help others so that they don't have to go through that. How selfless of you, but how healing for your trauma to be able to give back and say, this is, and I'm sure you're not going to unpack it at all times every day with every part of what's next, but if that's the intention going in, that you're saving another soul and being selfless and putting your trauma as a learning curve for others, like that's so admirable, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad that we're friends, and I love you. I'm just so proud of you, and for what's to come. Like, this is a pivotal moment, and I know I'm
so excited.
You were petrified coming in, but see how it's just conversation. We're just too beautiful, funny, friends,
amazing.
Yes, chatting about shit that's happened, and I've shared with you some of my shitty trauma as well, and that, even though it's a bond, because like everybody is dealing with something, and I really 100%. Believe that everyone has trauma, but it's to what degree they've had it and how they deal with it and process it and come out on the other side. You coming out on the other side, like we talk about, you know, caterpillars exploding out of into a butterfly. I mean, you've even got puffy wings like a butterfly today. You are that butterfly, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Emma.
And you're just amazing. But you're petrified this morning, and it just came so naturally in a really soft, sensitive space, whereas that wasn't the Tajsha I meant. Not that you weren't soft and sensitive, but just on reflection.
I just think I've learnt to express it in a way that it's not going to crumble me. Like, if I could sit here and blubber my way through that story easily.
And we have cried together. We have blubbered together.
But I can't keep doing that to myself, because you have to move through it. And it's so important to feel all of those feelings and emotions and actually express them and cry out loud and do the full
scream,
ugly cry. Yeah. But I think for me, who needs to just, you know, move to the next step, and, you know, I'd rather have a legacy for her than me, you know, crumble in a corner for the rest of my days, because I do have a young family to raise. So I have to get on with it. And now I've got little Ziggles.
No, he's so beautiful.
He's so cute. And I'm super excited for my little journey.
So tell us, now that I'm just going to quietly close my eyes so I can stop sobbing. Tell us about what's next. I know what's next, but listeners and watchers, go on.
So
drum roll.
Ultimately, there is a gap for me, I believe, in the industry. And
I'll stop you there. There's a gap, not just for you. There is a gap. When you told me this, I was like, divine, you're such a queen.
Well, it's just for me, as I was saying earlier about having to, constantly relive all of that upset and sadness and things like that every time you go to see a new person or someone's helping you through this time, I really felt that there was a space for women to come and express themselves in a super safe environment and have multiple modalities that all work together in unison to kind of take you on your journey to whatever it might be, whether it be a healing journey or a transformational or, an empowerment or growth or whatever it might be. I just think that there's seriously a spot for women to come and build rituals and really get into the nitty-gritty of what they're feeling and actually have an end game, workshops, events, going on these treatment plans that are going to take you on just such an amazing journey to wellness, really. And I'm so excited about it coming all together. It's been a bit of a slow start, but I've got an 11-month-old.
Exactly.
And I've just moved.
Exactly,
yeah. And, so I'm hoping sort of in the middle of this year I'll be looking for space and I'll be definitely sharing. I've just had all the branding done and it's amazing.
You made me cry when you sent it through. It was obviously knowing what the concept was and then seeing it in the brand identity package, whatever, just beautiful. You just
really luxurious.
Perfect, yeah. And it's just calm. It's elegant. It speaks to – I almost see it like this calmness after the storm of what you've gone through. It's like this peaceful feeling of looking at the brand, and that peace is what you're enveloping in the whole concept, and it really is beautiful. So I'm so excited and, as I said, proud. Are you proud of yourself? Yeah.
I am proud of myself because I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
People find so many different ways to kind of go on their journey, and a lot of people start at a gym, for example, or like dieting or like something like that. And I just think that puts so much extra stress on your body. I think there's certainly a space for that. But when you're very broken, you really need somewhere where you can come and like tone it right down.
You almost need it all there together instead of like, I don't know how you sourced, researched, found next provider or professional. That's insane. You're dealing with so much and then you're then
having to and psychologists are a funny thing because you've got to get along with that person. So you could go through half a dozen of them before you're like,
this person's
this is
not
my
for
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to be able to do it. So I guess for me, I just wanted to be able to have a space where people can come and only tell their story once, and then all of those professions come together to go, right, this person needs X, and it's going to take this long, and it's truly for the woman who's like ready to invest in themselves long term. It's it's going to be a space where they can really change their lives and become their own person. So super exciting times ahead.
I'm so proud of you.
Can't wait.
We're probably around that time. We could go on for a very long time, but I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Is it as petrifying as you pictured?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Are you still shitting bricks?
No, I'm okay.
Good. Well, here's cheers to you, Tajsha.
Cheers.
You're an incredible queen. I'm so glad you're in my corner. You're like, can I drink it now? Go on. You drink, I'll talk. You're an incredible queen. I'm so glad that you're in my corner. I hate what you've gone through, but I feel like it has brought us together in a way. And we
all grow from these experiences.
We do. I'm proud of you and I love you and thank you for being part of Empowered.
Thanks. Love you, Em.
Love you too.
Bye.
Thank you very much for joining, whether you listened or watched or cried. That was an exceptional poddie. I'm so proud of my friend Tajsha and I'm proud to call her a friend. Thank you very much for tuning in wherever you might be, which platform you've chosen. Please stay tuned for other episodes of Empowered. And again, welcome to Empowered.